In the time before the Titans, before the gods of Olympus, a great battle was waged.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my God of War Ascension Titan difficulty video walkthrough. This is the furnace, and this place has some pretty tricky fights in it. They're not tricky because they're necessarily hard, they're just tricky because of the placement of the enemies, and any player will tell you, one awkwardly placed enemy with another formidable enemy can make for an interesting sandwich of difficulty, surprisingly. And, every single situation can be handled a specific way that will lead to victory. There are also, numerous different ways you can approach them that will obviously help you win, and this one is no different. There are chests in this room should you suffer. There are also a couple of fights when you come back into this room and they're the same chests, so the better you do, the better you will benefit on the future fights, so that's something to bear in mind. This first one, only thing that sucks about this is the eggs that release those stupid things. So what I do is I throw my shield at the Cyclops, I freeze him, I use the clone, I use my combos to beat him up as best I can. Once he recovers, I roll back, keep on hitting him a little bit, and I'm probably going to pick up the sword and throw that at him as well. Now I've got the rage benefit, I'm going to start hitting him with bigger combos to do maximum damage. He's going to try and kick me and then do the punch. It's the exact same combo they've always had. If you've played a God of War before, you know what to expect. There's the second stun sequence, freeze him again. Tried to use the clone, but I don't think it's regenerated, and then execute him. Now that he's dead, you can freely kill the flying things without any hassle. The best way to do it is to grab them and kick them off the edge. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, because that's exactly what they're about to get. Because I hate these things. I hate anything that's just, I fly in the sky and I annoy while you fight. That to me is, it's unnecessary. It's like giving the ninjas on Ninja Gaiden unlimited projectiles. At some point it's just going to frustrate people, because every so often they'll just stand there spamming bullshit at you. Like the guys with the guns. Giving guys with guns that make you flinch. Why? Just why? I mean, I don't want realism in a Ninja Gaiden. I would prefer the bullets to not do anything. Just be a technicality because they're holding a gun. But I realise that I'm an extremely small perspective in gaming, and the developers are not aiming these situations at me or at my preferences, so you've just got to accept that they think that this is an interesting dynamic. They think that putting these two contrasting enemies together forces you to think differently, forces you to play differently, and ultimately benefits the diversity of the game. Do you agree with that is a different thing. But this furnace is all about moving this thing. Moving this into various stages of places to set fires. So essentially, we're just being a giant Greek arsonist on this sequence. And it's a decent part. You keep coming back to spin this lever, and at times you think, what am I supposed to do? Shall I just spin the thing again? And that is literally all the game wants you to do. And that's a good thing. Because puzzles, especially puzzles that look more elaborate than they are, can be the bane of any game. And I think everybody can agree, when you do a particularly tough fight on any action game or any game in general, and then you come to a puzzle which is fiendishly simple, but it stumps you because you just can't get the right way of thinking, that can be even worse than the battles. Because a battle is all about performance, it's all about finding, the right amount of skill to get past that certain sequence. Puzzles, it's all mental at that point. It's very marginal on the physical requirements, and they can be worse. They really can, especially if you're tired. Because my brain doesn't work sometimes. I just sit there staring at it like a dog, just nothing. Like when a dog sees a television, they don't see anything. They just kind of stare and then lay down facing the wrong way. Just don't understand that. It's probably to do with their eyes and how they might not process the image like we do. But then again, without cognition, what's the point in televisions? Televisions are just a box of colours, and everything else is just a box of colours in general. Ooh, have we got enough to to get this bad boy up? It looks like we do. Yay! The Blades of Chaos are now max. We get a rage upgrade, and they have the ultimate red line on them, showing that they're fierce. Which is always a good thing. So what this is going to do here is you have to pull this even though you can't use the sparks, because it lowers the grid. Now that you've done that, you need to push the box with the flint, or flint, or whatever the hell it is, over to the sparking area so that it's going to ignite a fire. And it does make sense. Whenever you push things on God of War, you want to turn them to the direction that Kratos is facing, because he will push them faster. And anybody who's tried to push them a different direction will know that it's extremely slow and it's not very fun. But I would take that any day over the whip it with the blade and drag it, because that's just silly. But now that we've done that, and now that this is actually functional, we can use the amulet to regenerate the flame in any area that we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this over here so we can get the sand thing working. And you might not have to do this. You might be able to just push it back towards the furnace in the other area and reignite it that way. But I do it this way because this is the way I figured it out the first time, and you know, I'm a creature of habit. So to me, this is the way you do it, and it might be. I just don't know for certain. Because there's even a little vignette showing you that this is doing something important, so it has to be the way. Which is something I look forward to in future games of any genre. Multiple ways to take down puzzles, multiple ways to take down situations. You know, they always... Every game nowadays puts this silly tag on it, especially when it's got, you know, some kind of dynamic, unseen force that controls enemy spawns, enemy placements and behaviour and things, like the director from Left 4 Dead, like the new spawn system in Gears of War Judgment that you're going to hear me talking a lot about when I make that guide, even though it doesn't come out in my country until 5 days after the Americans get it, and it's really starting to fuck me off. Gears used to have a universal release date. Now Americans get the advantage. It's not even funny. I need to move to America. I really do. So that I can be misunderstood and offend people without knowing it. I can also ask for crisps and end up getting a plate filled with chips. That'll be interesting. But another vignette showing that the cogs and everything are moving, so that means that this is all flapping and what have you, so we can use it as a platforming, an improvised platform, and we can continue onwards. But I don't think it's that simple. I think there's a fight. Yep, that's a Gorgon. So freeze her, use the Kratos clone and start slapping her, and as soon as she rears back, land the parry. Or block the tail sweep. You can parry that, but it's very fast, and if you miss, it does a lot of damage, unlike the standard attacks. So I just use some magic because the enemies that are backing this bitch up are some of the worst on the games. They are the bowler standard goat soldier guys. I can't even tell you how frustrating and annoying they are. You just have to play. They're just a pain in the ass. They are so cheap. They're like archers from Ninja Gaiden. They're just douchebags. So, as I've mentioned previously, if I get to a sequence where something is annoying me, I'm going to use magic. And because there is a chest just in front of me to replenish it, it's the smartest thing to do. That right there is a big old fail. I forget, I really do. It's hilarious, actually. I've played this game for, what, 20 hours now? And I still forget that I'm supposed to do stuff in these sequences in the heat of battle. And they're fun, but I think they're too long. And I would prefer the old executions. That's just me, though. I watched the first video in a friend of mine's guide to this game on Titan called Big Benedict, and he seems to really like them, so it just proves that, you know, there's mixed opinions on a lot of things. But then again, I'm probably going to be watching his entire guide to see what he does differently and to hear his opinions on the game, because I seem to be defending this game in comments unnecessarily so, which is always interesting, because I'm all for people having a salient point or a salient argument about why they think something is worse than something before, but A lot of people are just berating it for simple reasons, and they're not giving the best, best explanations, and that does tend to annoy me. I'm not going to lie. And it just gets to the point where I don't reply to people, and I hate not replying to people, because the whole point in the comment section to me is for people to leave their thoughts and for me to interact with them. But sometimes there are trolls, sometimes there are people that are just a waste of space, and it saves me wasting a lot of time, because there's this universal thing that a lot of people forget on the internet, and that is I do not have to explain myself to people I do not know. It's that simple. I have nothing to prove. I don't. I do this for fun. I don't do it for any misguided ego reasons, and there's a lot of people that try and turn it into that, and it's just completely wrong. But these bowler guys, don't like them. You could probably close the distance with rolls and parry them, and that might be a really good way of breaking the armor so you can throw them. Because what you find when you break the armor of these guys and you do the riposte, it allows you to grab them, and then Kratos will do the running move from God of War 3. And if you're close to a wall, or even the floor, I think, he finishes it by smashing the face into something very violent, and it kills them, so it's functional too. But this is funny. Watch this! I thought I was going to throw him off the edge. What? God of War, why? Why would you do this to me? And now he's going to spam this stupid move. I thought that was perfect right there. That is God of War Ascension in that moment. Just uncanny and interesting. But now that fight is over, you can replenish on your munitions. There's the save point, there's the valuable checkpoint, and we can continue to twist this thing and get back to the flapping furnace doors. And I can't remember if there's another fight in this mission. I know there's a very tough fight coming up. This is it, yeah, this is it. Wow. This right here, guys, is my least favourite fight in this game on Titan. Because there are so many enemies, and the enemies are so constantly up your ass, and they're the shield ones, so they can catch you really fast, even when you're evading. It's an absolute nightmare. And I think what the game wants you to do is it wants you to stun the elephants and ride the elephants to kill I've done it again. Kill the flunkies. Oh wow, this is terrible too. These creatures are easy. Kick them off into the furnace, but every so often they catch you with their lightning, and then you get hit 2 or 3 times. Really frustrating. And if you're going for a no damage run or some kind of exclusive no damage playthrough, you've just messed it up because of that slight mistake right there. And that must be frustrating, because this game checkpoints a lot, so you're going to have to do chapter select if you want to get a really good run. And I'm just not interested in that stuff on this game. So this is going to lead you up into, potentially one of the worst fights of the game. There's a little bit more. I'm not going to call it a puzzle, because this is literally, there's a swinging pendulum of fire and you have to go under it when it's not on fire. That's like teaching a child not to touch fire, which can be difficult when they're small, because they've got absolutely no survival instincts, and they're literally just a big ball of grab it and lick it. But this, I think people playing God of War, seeing as how it is a mature game, should hopefully have the whole, they should be older than 1, hopefully. Unless you're some kind of progeny. Some kind of phenom, child phenom. But more chests, more orbs, more opportunities to upgrade things. First thing I'm going to upgrade now that I've got my blades is when I've got 5,000 orbs, I'm going to upgrade the Orcos clone, because I keep saying this, but it's true. It is overpowered as hell. It is so good. You can literally spam roll until it regenerates and do nothing but cast it, and you will win every fight. It takes a hell of a lot of unluckiness to, or misfortune's probably a better way of placing that. A hell of a lot of misfortune to die when you use that tactic. And I imagine a lot of the people that perceive themselves to be extremely good at this game will probably not use that because of how useful it is. I'm quite curious to see how it affects the meta, because there's a lot of stuff that they've changed in this game that's definitely affected it. The change to the throw has affected it. You know, the change to the rage meter has affected it. There's a lot of nuance, and the change to the move set when you don't have a full rage meter is another very strange design choice. I've never really perceived the Y or triangle triangle triangle. Don't know why I said Xbox, because this game isn't on that. That move is completely not in the game unless you have full rage, and I never really used it even though it was extremely powerful. It's just one of those moves that I never really used, and if you're a fan of it, you can only do that when you're playing perfectly and your rage meter's high. This sequence here reminds me of a part from God of War, I think 2, where you had to fight and there were spikes coming towards you, and on Titan that bit was a bastard because you had to kill those enemies really quickly, and it took a while to kill them on Titan, so it was more than simple and more than easy to get crushed, unless you were, you know, really doing some significant damage. But the more I think back to my time with God of War 2, the more I just, you know, the difficulty just isn't there in God of War anymore. But that's the end of the video, guys, coming up, so thank you for watching. I hope it helped, and you take care now.